Yeah.
You know, like a master problem solver.
Yeah.
Key to life is solving problems.
Life was funny. Like at St. Dominic's, I was really found myself at odds with all these professional Christians, telling them that they were all hypocrites, which didn't go down, which they accepting good spirit.
Because they're Christians.
What?
Because they're Christians.
I said, you are all hypocrites.
Why did you say that to them?
Because I felt so frustrated with the fact that they weren't asking any important questions. They were so worried that, they're so frightened of the devil, for example. It was so frustrating. And they had all these kids teaching these children. Why are they teaching them? Why are they brainwashing them?
Yeah,
So funnily enough, I wound up giving 2 talks in my last term, trying to direct the kids into thinking instead of just learning.
Mm-hmm.
But it went incredibly well, you know, and the teachers were quite stunned by the talk as well. I'd been completely tied by self-embarrassment before that, but my last, suddenly after a good summer at Saunton actually, I thought, oh God, I've got to talk. Suddenly I kind of, I'll use something that Colin Rourke produced once. I can adapt that. And then I gave this, and once I gave it, the kids came to me and said, that's the best talk that's ever been. And everybody was impressed by it.
Was that when you were putting different shapes?
Yeah. And then the second one I gave was, I said, listen to your hearts. Because what your heart wants for you is what God wants for you. Now, that's a direct heresy. Because they implicitly were teaching that your heart is sinful, and therefore maybe don't listen to your heart, because it might be the devil is influencing you.
What school was this?
Well, St. Dominic's, it's a Roman Catholic sixth form college.
I see. So Roman Catholics would not encourage you to follow your heart, because the devil might get inside you.
Well, there are Roman Catholics who would, but in general, the vibe I was getting off of the teachers was, I said, look, I'm really into the spirit healing. I said, how do you know it's not the devil doing it?
They said. They said that.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it's not part of their...
You weren't allowed to say the word magic. Oh, that's magic. I'm terrified of the use of magic.
How can I laugh at that? I don't know.
It's pathetic.
It's odd, very, very odd. It's the fear of God, Dad. Fear of God.
Well, they've been brainwashed, you see. They obviously have never thought anything through.
No.
They're not allowed to say who was Jesus. Therefore, it gave me a great deal of pleasure recently to think, okay, I'll work out who Jesus was. And now I've got a cohesive theory about who Jesus was in the context of Gilgamesh, really, of recorded in the context of mythology. You see, there you go. I'm interested in mythology as being an important message for people. They think all I have to do is follow the words of the Bible. They can't pathetically see that words have no meaning. Lewis Carroll was right. A word means whatever I want it to.
Yeah, exactly. Of course it is. It's why at the dinner table I asked Danny, he said something, and I said, what does that mean, Danny? And he goes, it means you, Chris.
It begins what?
It means you. He doesn't answer the question usually.
Danny.
He turns it back on me and says, I say, what is so and so, Danny? And he goes, you are so and so, Chris. It's you. That's the answer.
He's bloody right, isn't he?
Saves him thinking about it, but actually, it gets him thinking about it. Her, I should say.
That's the great. I get the greatest amusement is to ask questions that make children think.
There was a picture of you at Hayden's table, kitchen table, with Daisy and Tabby doing something to do with maths, was it?
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
No, well, they were doing some song. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Do you see, Tabby is a year younger than Daisy, and she started doing some calculus.
Tabby is doing very advanced mathematics.
Yeah, she is.
And Daisy scored nothing on an additional maths O level. I mean,
really?
Daisy she got a U. And I said, you were badly taught, and she nodded.
Of course, yeah.
And I said to them, pay no attention to teachers. They don't understand what they're trying to teach you. But the person who does is your friend, so always ask them what the teacher wants. Because the only thing you're learning is to put down something that the teacher wants you to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what
It
exams
means has no other meaning.
Thing.
But when I gave that talk with Colin Rorke's, he's a clever guy, Colin really is what you see is what you choose to see. Mm-hmm. And it went down brilliantly, but mainly because I made these models, you see, so that I fitted a square and a triangle and a circle together. And then I fitted them into one shape.
Actually, that you just reminded me. I had a dream the other night, and I was trying to show someone how to get somewhere or do something, and although the path seemed clear to me, they couldn't see the path. So when you said in seeing, right? So the message I got was, you know certain things, or you can see things easily that others can't see, right? And even if it's quite clear to you, and you try and show it to them, they can't see it. But a lot of it comes down to context. They can see it, but they don't really see it.
Well, the funny thing is, you see that somebody else can, so the person to explain it to them is not you, but the person who can. You can, you see, but you are a teacher, in a sense. If you are a teacher and you're trying to teach something, it is fucking impossible. But if just one kid has understood what you're trying to teach, all they have to do is ask them,
right,
what does he want?
Yes.
Because very often you think the explanation of this pattern lies in this simple fact. You've lost everybody.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah, of course. Well, you have. Because you've made it complex immediately.
Yeah, but you can say, what were they looking at, those kids, as a mathematical thing? But I was saying to them, if you want to know anything, ask your friend, what does the teacher want? Because the teacher can't tell you. The teachers are useless. But you do need to know to pass the exam, but your friend knows how to do it.
I would say the teacher is trying to teach all of the kids something. So some of them will get it.
I used to think that, but it isn't just that. It's that actually we all think that there is a core idea, and believe me, there isn't. There is a pattern. The pattern is The pattern is that I had this conversation once with Roy, who was head of physics,
Mm-hmm.
that we agreed that the word understand has no meaning. If you can be said to understand physics, it means you can answer correctly every single question in the physics syllabus.
That isn't understanding physics.
Of course it doesn't. But it's what you need. You need that pass.
Yeah.
So what he said, yes, I used to give my kids a list of all the questions that have ever been asked, and I published how you answer them. I said that you won't. Understanding physics means that you. Well, this is physics. Physics is not anything else but the solutions to O-level questions.
The great thing
about it.
The great thing about physics is that nobody really knows.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So,
there is no knowledge.
No.
I said to the kids, there's no knowledge. I said this to Tabby, there is no knowledge.
Well, that's it. That's a problem. You say there is no knowledge, right? She's got to think, well, what's knowledge? What does he mean by knowledge?
So, look, knowledge is...
And then if anything, well, of course, there must be knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge is passing the exams. That is knowledge. That's the definition of knowledge.
Right. Is it?
Yeah. There was...
That is knowledge, yes. That is the pattern to pass an exam, right? Well, not the pattern, but that's the...
Look, nobody knows what knowledge is, but they measure your knowledge by your ability to pass an exam. So knowledge is the syllabus of that subject. There's a wonderful poem about a don at university, Oxford or Cambridge. It was, I am the master of this college, and what I don't know isn't knowledge. And I love it.
Yes, lovely. Yeah, well.
There's no knowledge.
No, I know. Well, education has gone wrong.
You see, how else could I have a fundamental understanding of quantum physics that I can write a letter to Colin Rourke and say, here is a fact about chemistry. Your son has the chair of chemistry at Warwick. Who doesn't know this?
Did you do that?
Of course I did.
And how did you know his son, chair of physics, wouldn't know it? Chair of chemistry.
Because I loved harmonics.
Right.
And I'm very curious. I'm like you watching bees, but I am very curious. And I thought, what if, for some reason, my heart loved the periodic table.
Yeah, I love the periodic table.
I can't possibly, this is ridiculous, I can't understand it, just like I can't understand a word of relativity, and all these things I can't solve. And then the realizing was, of course I don't. But actually, Tony Smith's words were to me, you are as clever as anybody else.
Of course. And
in fact, you're cleverer than most of them, she said to me. Always remember this, always. Anyway, the chemistry thing was about the unstable elements. Why are some elements unstable? One was there are only 81 stable elements. Now, I never knew that, but I bought a wacky book that said it, so I remember it. That's interesting.
But then you worked it out with harmonics.
And then I thought, I know what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll put the elements onto the spiral of Biff's. And when I got round to the Discord, lo and behold, it was the first curiously unstable element, number 31.
Wow.
And then, but the next one is, was it 31? 32? The next one is 61. Why is that? Because that's not on the spiral of Biff's as a discord. Okay, I immediately thought, because I'm completely tuned into this, it's my central problem, the relationship between the spiral of fifths and the spiral of fourths. That is a pattern that recurs absolutely everywhere, from the Garden of Eden, everywhere else, these two spirals, good and evil, tree of knowledge, tree of life. What does it mean? It's not, there's embedded wisdom in all of these old writings that none of these stupid fuckers are ever going to see, because they don't dare look.
No.
Anyway, I found out, of course, that 61 is at the end of the spiral of fourths. And there it was, 61. It couldn't have been sweeter.
That is sweet.
It was terribly sweet.
So has he got back to you?
No, you never get me on anything. But yeah, it was, you see, because at the same time, this other teacher, who wasn't my friend, who I never understood, I never had a relationship with him, he's a nice guy. He used to say, there are people working in the cracks between the disciplines. And I used to regularly correspond with Colin Rourke about the spiral of fifths and all of these things. I used to send him my pictures.
Yeah.
Anyway, at roughly the same time, a famous mathematician who won the Fields Medal, Cons, his name was,
Oh,
he's a Frenchman.
Yeah, you told me about him.
He is working on quantum physics using music.
Yeah, you sent me the article.
What?
You sent me the article.
I might have done, yeah, I wanted to, yeah.
Oh, yeah, recently you sent it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I read it.
But
yeah. He's just observing. He's not interpreting, I don't think. Anyway, carry on.
It's topical.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, the thing is that I was the only person they knew at Warwick who was doing it. You see, and actually he was a topologist, and his subjects were cohomology and these various things that I couldn't understand the shit of. It's actually central to what Colin Rourke and all the others were doing. That actually they had to all know each other.
Yeah.
But I'm the one doing the research using music, and so is Alan Conn.
All right.
And I realised that they sent me that gratuitously, the ticket to the catastrophe theory lecture in London.
That you couldn't get to?
Which I didn't go to, no.
Didn't go to? Should have gone there.
Because I knew I knew.
You knew they'd come to you and they'd say,
I knew
Richard Cardew, we want you to give us the answer.
Well, no, they were curious, you see, because I couldn't answer any of their questions, because those aren't the questions I ask myself.
Of course.
But one of them is, I thought, well, I could answer questions, I can posit questions. For example, I said, the way they detect black holes in the universe, the evidence would also fit a knotted torus. And with an affine knot.
With a what knot?
Trefoil knot.
Yeah.
Would that also show up as a black hole? And then 2 or 3 weeks later, in those pop-ups of Google, there is
it's listening to you.
The whole universe is a torus.
Well, yeah.
And that sort of coincidence kept happening. For example, I used to write to a professor in Australia, and I was talking about the twin slit problem, where it's a classic problem, and it's like this. It's to do with this something being a split something with, you know, if you action at a distance, it's where the spin of this, you don't know what it is until you measure it.
I'm not sure where you're going, Dad.
No, it's a classic problem. I forgot, but it's it's stuff. You can't work out that something has no spin, or you don't know which direction it's spinning. Until you detect it.
Okay.
But that once you detect it, then the spin of another one, you know what the spin of another one is, which looks like spooky action at a distance.
Which is part of quantum theory.
But it's so obvious in harmonics, because if you change something on the spiral of fifths, you're going to affect the spiral of fourths.
Yeah, you showed me that lovely
even though they're not connected. But it's actually, basically, it's the basic understanding of DNA. Because it's, I don't know, there's so many patterns that are endlessly there. It is exactly like sitting on a beach looking at shells. You just turn one over and another over and another over. You can't stop.
No. You keep finding them, Dad. Each
well,
one.
Only if you're looking.
That's right. Only if you're looking and also looking in the right place.
But actually, it is. If you are exploring the spiral of fifths, you will explore millions of other funny little subjects which have been milling around everybody for years. You get insights into everything. I've got insights into quarks. And I think this is actually where Con is on the same wavelength. Is that it's a wonderful insight into the behaviour of quarks. Well, quarks presented to you in impossibly ridiculous format. Nothing to understand. But if you look at it the spiral, you think, oh, you know, like it's like this thing that of the
flipping
up, flipping over. Anyway.
Right then, Dad.
Right then. Thank you for the honey. It was absolutely lovely.
Well, I hope it will continue to be lovely, Dad. You haven't eaten it all, have you?
I can't wait to dip the tip of my finger in having another little.
We've got several.
It went bang.
Several types. Yeah, the hot honey, it hits you, doesn't it? It's lovely. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
That is amazing honey.
I'll take one down to Hugh and Eva, actually, and I'll invite them.